Hi, I'm Michael, and behind the camera is Ellie. We are the Bill Paying Hobbyists, and we're using our hobbies and skill sets to pay down debt and to save up for a down payment on a house. This Thursday, we're doing another beginner video on how to turn a pen for profit. So today, we're going to show you some of the tools you use, like this pen press. Don't have a pen press? No worries. Stick around to the end. We'll show you 2 ways to get around that. Let's get to it. Today we're going to show you some of the tools we use when we're making pens. One of the first steps in making your pen is you want to get your blank cut down to your tube length. Alright, this is just a brass tube from a Mesa kit, and this is a scrap piece of maple that I have. I like to use this sled my dad made. It works perfectly. It rides along the groove on my table for my bandsaw, and I can cut everything down. I basically have a measuring stick and adjustment knob. I lay my tube up against the adjustment knob, put the measuring stick up against the tube, my blank on this side, and when I cut, it will be the length of the tube plus whatever gap I have here on my adjustment knob. Now, you want to have a bigger gap here when you're using blanks that are made of acrylic or something that's going to blow out really easy or brittle. It gives you an extra length just in case you have blowout, so you still have more tube to work with. You just take a screwdriver and we will turn this in. It's tight and we'll adjust it. So now I have a smaller gap. Now it's just a little bit longer than my tube, and then I can cut. Now a lot of people are gonna say, well, I don't have one of those sleds. Well, you can always just use a tape measure. So my tube is 2 3/16. So I'm gonna go 2 3/16, and I'm gonna add 1/8 of an inch. So that's 2 5/16. Make a little line right here, and then I'm gonna cut on that mark. And this will be my tube, my blank to use for my tube. I can use my bandsaw, you can use a table saw, you can use a chop saw, you can use a hand saw, whatever you need to cut that. Let's go to the next tool. Another device you need is something to hold your blank when you're going to drill your hole for your tube. I always say use what's comfortable for you. You don't want to use something that you're not comfortable using. There are many different types of clamps out there to use. Just please don't use your hand to try to hold when you're trying to drill. It's very dangerous. I like to use this clamp. You have your tension lever right here, and there's an adjustment knob for the different size blanks you would ever use. So I close this down. It's not even close. So let's adjust it in, get it close. I'll make it a little bit tighter and put my blank in here, and it's holding. That's not what you want though. That's too loose. So we want to tighten it back up just a little bit more. There. We don't want it so tight that as you're drilling, it's actually compressing the wood, because then you're just going to get an elongated hole and it's not going to work properly. This clamp also comes with some scrap pieces of MDF board. You want to put that in there because that gives your blank something to rest on so that you don't have blowout at the end. The other good part about this is, like I said, it is adjustable. So if I had something, if I'm making a bottle stopper or something larger, I can adjust this out, and there we go. Now it's holding that. Plus, if I have a round blank, because sometimes you will get blanks like this piece of buffalo horn that come from the factory round. Too tight. Loosen it up. Now I can hold my round blank, and I'm not using my hand. Another clamp I have is this homemade clamp that is basically 2 3/4 inch pieces of plywood, a 1/2 inch piece of plywood, and it has this notch cut out of it for square blanks. And then I just have a carriage bolt with a wing nut and a washer. So I can just take my blank, put it in there, I adjust my wing nut, and then I clamp, and it's not going anywhere. With any clamp that you're using when you're drilling, you want your blank all the way down flat on some kind of backer board. You want it all nice and flat so that when you drill, it stays straight and true to your chuck. Remember, put a center point in there as close as you can to the center. It doesn't have to be exact, just close enough that it gives you meat all the way around the hole. Hey, we're interrupting. Smash that like button. If you're getting value, don't forget to subscribe. When you're done turning, your last step, of course, is to put it together. You're gonna need a pen press or something to press your parts together, like this blank with this end cap and tension clip. Like this pen press, it's a pretty ingenious idea. You have your lever arm and you have your ram right here that pushes the pieces together. This plastic stopper is actually spring loaded, and I can adjust it here. Now the other good thing about this is it's also a disassembly tool. So if I wanted to take a pen apart, I can loosen these up, take this out. I can put a piece of rubber around my blank and put it in here and clamp it down, and then I can take a push pin and put it on the ram and then slide it in, and it will pop the ends off. I don't like to do it this way because sometimes it will still mar your blank, and then you have to return it and refinish it. So I don't like to use it for that. Now to put this pen together, I use a piece of wood here just to help, because this is aluminum. It's soft, but not soft enough for me. I just put this where I want it to go. I'm going to put it right here. I adjust this where I need it to go. I'm going to use a little bit of that spring tension. So I'm going to come in 1 click past, make this nice and straight as much as possible, of course. And then just move your lever arm and boom. it's together. That's what I needed. Now I mentioned that I don't like to use the pen press to take my pens apart. If I need to take my pens apart, I will take a punch pen, I'll slide it through the end, hold it, take my 1950s hammer, tap a few times, comes apart, and I'm ready to move on. Fix whatever I need to fix, and then I can put it back together. If you don't have a pen press and you don't want to buy one, you can use your drill press to put your pens together. I learned this neat trick from Zach Higgins. So if you have a drill press and you don't have a pen press, you can take your lathe and turn something like this. I just took a 2x4, I cut it down, and I turned it on my lathe. I made the shaft small enough to fit inside my chuck. All right, so I'm just gonna put this in here. That's it. It doesn't need to be super tight. It just needs to be there. You want this to be as flat as possible and perpendicular to your shaft. The reason you want something like this is you don't want to press your pen parts or even this using the chuck. If you do, it's going to mar it all up, it's going to scratch up your finish, and you're just going to have a ruined pen. You're going to have to start all over with a new kit. This soft wood will help keep that from happening. I have my little 1/4 inch piece of plywood here. I'm going to put it like that, and I'm going to set this up, stand it up, put it in place, and all I need to do, pull this down, and then make sure it's straight, and press. And I just press my pen together using my drill press. Too easy. If you're new to turning pens, not everyone's gonna have a drill press. You can do a lot of the work you need to do on your lathe, including pressing your pens together. If you don't wanna spend all that money to buy a drill press, to buy a pen press, and all the other stuff, you have a press right here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take off my pen mandrel. Now Rockler also has something very similar to what I'm getting ready to show you. If you want to buy it, you have a lathe, you can make it on your own. Taking off my mandrel saver, and I have 2 mortises right here that I can use these on. I turn these on the lathe and I tapered them. It doesn't have to be perfect, just as long as it sits flat. Right there, right there. All I've got to do is get this close. I'm going to get close to it and I'm going to lock it down. I get this set where I want it to be, put it close, and then I'm just going to turn this and turn and turn and turn and turn and turn, and I just press my pen together. There you go. You don't even need to buy all the tools. You have your tool right here to make these that you need, and you can press your pen together. Thanks so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this week's TWP. We don't have any updates this week, but we did have one comment from Dermont Kelly. He is out of the country and asked about getting kits where he's at. So I checked with some of the local vendors here in the United States, and they do provide international shipping. So if you're thinking about turning pens and you're not in the US, just look them up online and see if they have that availability. We'll see you on Thursday.